Hello everyone, my name is Heather and I'm the person behind Happy Puppy Truffles, and today for our origami project I wanted to do another arrangement of some traditional origami and kind of show you guys how you can have some fun with different sizes of paper to make really cool projects. And since it's the late part of summer and early part of fall, in Japan right now all the kaki or persimmon are in season, and I just love all the rich colors that start popping up here and there as we get closer to fall with all the leaves changing color, and I wanted to kind of do something that would showcase that. So what I did is, I don't even think you could see this whole thing here in this picture. We've got this massive, big, fancy dish, and then inside we have lots of little persimmon. So just to kind of give you guys an idea here, first of all for the box. So this is a fancy dish that I made using paper that was 62 by 62 centimeters. So let me kind of write down the dimensions for you guys so that you kind of know, because all this is a little big and overwhelming. But the finished result looks so cool as a centerpiece. So my fancy dish, if you'll recall, you need 2 sheets of paper for this, and my paper is 62 by 62 centimeters, so it's a big size paper, and the paper I used is a handmade Korean paper, and it's not that super thick, not like if you'd used construction paper or craft paper for that kind of thing. That would have actually probably worked better, but I don't have paper that big. So then what I thought to do, because filling that entire thing, as you guys saw, is pretty massive, it'd be pretty time consuming to fill that full of persimmon. Now if you wanted to do that, you could. Now, if you want to take the shortcut, you can then put a little box inside the finished piece to kind of make the level of where the bottom rise up higher so that it gives the illusion of a full basket of fruit. And what I used here was just the cardboard that comes with origami paper that's 15 by 15 centimeters, and I just taped them together to create a box, and then I just wrapped it like a present with some brown paper to kind of make it look cool as an insert for my dish. Now, I did make the paper, the box inside here, it's 15 centimeters by 13.5 centimeters. So I made it just a little bit less deep because I wanted to have a little bit at the top where you could kind of put the persimmon inside. So this is the dimension of my box. It was 15 by 15 centimeters for the square. And then I also used 15 by 15 centimeter paper for my persimmons. Now I made a total of 8 persimmons, so you get 8 fruit, and each one I used 2 sheets of paper, so you really need 16 sheets of paper to make all of them. Now that's just kind of roughly what I made to kind of fit into the box and based on what paper I had lying around too. So, but that kind of gives you guys an idea of the dimensions I used if you were going to kind of mimic what I've done. Now you certainly don't have to make a basket or a dish as big as I did, but I think the effect of it sitting on a table, dining room table, would be so cool that I had to make it supersized. So those are the dimensions I used just to kind of give you guys an idea. So again, here's the finished dish, and I know you guys can't see this with my camera angle, but and then I just made this little box, and it fits just kind of almost perfectly into here. Just slide that right in, and it really gives a really shallow area here, not a whole lot, barely a centimeter or 2 really, but with the persimmon then sitting on top here, you get a nice view from the side, and you can still see the persimmon sitting in here, and yet you don't have to have this massive amount of fruit made to be able to kind of create the illusion that it's full and complete. So let me show you guys how, really quick, how I folded this persimmon just as a reminder, and then you can kind of see how things turned out here. Again, I used 2 sheets of paper with this. I'm using a taunt paper. I got this really pretty deep orangish red from this color, the red series of the taunt paper, and also some other variety taunt paper that I had. It had that orange and slightly yellowish color. To be honest, I only had 2 of one of each of these, and so I had to kind of make most of mine this darker, redder kind of color. You can kind of play around with what paper you have lying around, of course. Now, I also use two different tones of green. You can see this is more of a lighter green, and I also use this really dark green, and just kind of mixed it up of which ones are with which color. What you need to do is we're going to be folding both sheets of paper together to create the persimmon, and the easiest way to do that is to start off with some preliminary creases. We're starting off with a square base, so I did my preliminary creases for both pieces, and then I just kind of let them lay on top of each other, and then go ahead and get them to collapse down into that square. And give yourself a second to kind of make sure this gets pushed down into the center as far as it can. The nice thing with this model is that actually having things be a little off makes things look kind of cool, because it looks more like leaves then. But I've got that kind of in there, and actually when I cut my paper it was a tiny bit smaller than my taunt paper was, because this is again some handmade Korean paper that I have. So actually having that slight variation of size makes it look kind of cool. So don't worry if it's not exactly perfect. But you have your little square base here, and we have the point facing down and our open flaps at top. And then I'm just going to go ahead and fold and roll in here. Now this is a lot of paper because it's taunt paper time with the 2 layers, of course. So you're going to need to take your time and try to get good creases here. So I'll smush this out. And I'm going to repeat that squash fold three more times so that I get all 4 sides completed here. And you could choose which way you want to do this and how you like squashing things out, but it's good to kind of get it all squashed out here and smoothed out. And again, I don't think you need to worry too much if things seem a little thick on one side or everything's not lining up perfectly in the center. This is a very organic kind of thing, and so actually having things be a little off makes things look a little better. If you're making something really exact, then of course you'd want to be a little bit more careful, but having things being just a little bit shy of each other is good for this kind of a thing here. So you get this squash fold completed for all 4 of the sides that we've got here. If I can get this last one to open up. Once you've gotten all that squashed out, you can go ahead and look at it where we've got that nice solid orange side. So we've got 3 little 4 flaps on each side here. And I'm going to take this top layer, I'm going to take 2 layers with me and fold them down. And sometimes because of the way that other paper is underneath and the way the folds were, you get this cool kind of like crease going on that, which makes it look even more like a leaf. I kind of like that effect. Flip it over, do the same thing on this side too. Now in my case, because my secondary paper is so much thinner than my outer paper, you want to take care of this. Does have a tendency to kind of shimmy up and get in the way a little, but we want to just kind of fold that down and then open up to the other sides and fold down there too. And try to keep things kind of clean there as much as we can. And then from here, I can go ahead and take each of these flaps and tuck them behind. And as I mentioned in the tutorial just for the persimmon, if you want to take things a little slower, you can first fold this flap over and then just fold this down towards the center and then return the flap to the outside. Or you can just kind of get the paper curling and just slide it down and tuck it back behind itself. Either way works. If you get used to this way, it goes pretty fast, which is nice, especially if you're making 8 of these. You want to kind of move yourself along if you can. But we get all of these sides tucked behind like that. Just make sure your papers are staying flat and lined up with each other as much as you can. And we'll just get all of that tucked away so that we get something like this. And then we've got a nice big hole here in the middle, so I'm just going to blow a little air into it. When you do that, of course, things pop out weird. What we want to do is find this part here where the flap is. You can see I've got it here. And the other sides I want to keep pinched together. So keep things smushed together there, but then pull apart the sides. That side has those 2 open flaps. That side needs to stay closed. The side next to it that has this flap that you can pull up, that's the side we want up. And we just go around here until we can get all of that kind of secured so that you get those 4 flaps sticking out. And then if you put a little bit more air into it, you can kind of make it more refined. And if things are kind of proving a little difficult, you want to make sure too that you're kind of popping out everything along that side too, where the flap is. So kind of guide the paper along a little. Now Kaki are kind of flat a little bit in some ways, so playing around with how deep they look, you know, they're not bell shaped necessarily, they're kind of squat. So you know, the more you can kind of play around with that a little as you make these is better, to make them look a little flatter. But that kind of gives you this finished little fruit. And then, like I said, you just want to try to make a bunch of these so that you can put them all inside your box, your little dish. And like I said, I've kind of got, how much? I think I've got 8 of them here. And Kaki, you know, you can kind of leave things a little bumpy. That's all right. It doesn't have to be super perfect. I think having things be just a little different gives every one of them a little different character. But this is my finished group then of my 8. And then with my, you know, fancy dish with that raised level inside, then I can have these just kind of sitting here. And this just makes such a pretty kind of table setting. You can, you know, change the fruits and different things that you've got in here too. I think it just kind of can be a lot of fun if you're looking to kind of create something unique for this holiday season. This is just one way to make something kind of cool with all these different guys here and just kind of play around with how they line up. But certainly makes for something that looks a little festive for as we get into late summer here and you know, the early parts of fall. This is my favorite time of year, so I don't even know how good you guys can see that. Take a peek up above. It's kind of hard to see, so I'll get the camera turned around here so that you guys can see things a little better. But you know, just some kind of fun stuff that you guys can enjoy with this kind of paper arrangement, if you will. I'll have some more kinds of projects like these every week, so check back for those. Thank you guys always so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.